What's going on, everybody? Seth here, and welcome back to the Hillbilly Hypnotist, episode 5. And today I'm going to show you how to make the perfect chocolate chip cookie. After years of trying different recipes and different methods with different ingredients, I finally came up with this cookie. And cookies are funny because there's such a variance on the outcome that you can have with just a slight change in the ingredients or the method you use to make them. But after toying with a lot of recipes and a lot of different ingredients, a few years ago, I finally came up with this cookie and I absolutely love it. And I give them as gifts for Christmas every year. So let me show you how I do it. And ingredients, I have brown sugar, white sugar, and that's dark brown sugar, white sugar, butter, and I have unsalted butter, and it is 85% milk fat butter. So you would either want to get that or a grass-fed butter, but I would say get good butter. Flour, salt, baking soda, vanilla, eggs, and I use 70% cocoa Lindt dark chocolate bars. To me, that's the best, and it's a perfect mixture, from the sweetness of the cookie dough to the slight bitterness, semi-sweetness of the chocolate bar, and Lindt's the best chocolate. And so putting this all together, you just want to, and the first thing you want to do is melt your butter on low heat, not hot, just melting it on low so that you have melted butter, but you don't want hot butter. And then another thing I'll do first before I start mixing this up is I will take 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and I'm adding this to 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. So 1 tea of baking soda to 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. And I'm just going to mix that up and set it to the side. Once I have that done, I'm ready to start making my mix in the bowl. And I got 1 cup of white sugar. I have 1.5 cups of brown sugar. 2 teaspoons of salt. Another thing I'll say about cookies is I could take this same recipe that I'm showing you with the exact same measurements and ingredients, and I could do a batch by hand or with a KitchenAid or with a hand mixer, and I would come up with 3 different cookies. So I've tried them all, and by hand is the way to go. So I've got my brown sugar, white sugar, and salt in here. Now I'm going to add 2 sticks unsalted 85% milk fat butter, or also, 1 cup, 2 sticks. And I'm just going to cream this by hand. And get it all mixed up. Get all that sugar wet. Once I got that mixed up, 2 eggs, 2 large eggs. and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Again, I'm just going to mix this by hand. And make sure I'm breaking down those little clumps of brown sugar. And what I'm looking for at the end is just, you're not mixing it, over mixing it. You're just looking for a ribbon to come off your whisk. So that looks great. And once I've got that done, I am going to sift in my all-purpose flour and baking soda. I'll do about half that. Start getting it mixed. Other half of the flour's in. You can use a spoon, but that is not my preferred method of doing this. I like to use a gloved hand. I was trying to do it with a spoon for the video, but it just doesn't work as well. Gloved hand is your best tool a lot of times. So I'm going to just keep getting that flour kneaded in. Basically just getting all that flour wet. Which I've done. All right, and then the chocolate, I'm using 12 to 14 ounces, about three and a half of these Lindt chocolate bars, 70% cocoa, and I just take these and cut them into chunks. Go across one way, turn them, and go across the other. And I've already cut up 2.5 bars and 8.5 bar. to prepare for this. Some are chunky, some are small. I like it like that. All right, I've gotten that, and now I'm going to just fold and punch these chips into the dough. Once I feel like I've got that spread pretty evenly throughout the dough, then I'm going to taste it because it's good. I'm going to wrap this dough, put it in the fridge for 1 hour to chill before I bake them off. You could probably get away with 30 minutes, but my preference is to just chill it for an hour. So I'll throw this in the fridge, get everything cleaned up, and then once that's chilled, I'll come back. I'll show you how I make the size of my cookies and how I bake those off, and we'll go from there. All right, we're back, and my cookie dough is chilled, and I've got my oven preheated to 350 degrees. I got 2 cookie sheets that fit side by side in the oven, and I'll just cut some parchment paper down to fit over this, and I got my ice cream scoop / cookie dropper. I think it's 1.5 tablespoons or about a 1/2 ounce scoop. And my suggestion on getting one of these would be spend the extra $5 to get the good one, because those cheap ones, the springs break so fast and they just pop out right here real easy and tear up. But yeah, I mean, I'm basically going to get one dropper of cookie dough per cookie, and I will set these on the pan a little bit apart. I really don't care if they touch each other a little bit, because it just looks homemade, and it's really more about the texture and the flavor than the shape, than some uniform shape of cookie that looked like it came out of a freezer or factory. Like I said, my oven's at 350 degrees. I'll lay these all out on these cookie sheets right here and put them in the oven, and I'm going to cook them for 11 minutes total. And whenever I pull them out of the oven, I like the parchment paper, no spray or anything. But when I pull them out of the oven, I got my cooling rack set up over here. And when I pull these out of the oven and they're done cooking for 11 minutes, I can just slide the parchment paper right onto the top of the cooling rack. If you don't have a cooling rack, I would lay a towel on the countertop and just slide it onto your towel, just so it's not laying on something flat and hard. Let some air circulation and let them cool down. because cookies cook fast. And that's it. I'll do a clip of these coming out of the oven onto the cooling rack. I'll work my way through this whole batch of dough. And when I get done cooking all these cookies, I'll come back and show you what my yield was for the recipe and show you the way I box these. You know, one way you can box these things up for gifts for friends and family. All right, we're back and the cookies are finished and beautiful. So it took me 3 rounds in the oven at 11 minutes for each round to get everything done. And the total yield on the cookies were 48 cookies out of the batch. And so they look lovely. Crispy little outsides, nice gooey centers. Should be able to just take the perfect bite. So one thing I like to do is give these as presents, and you can get these little boxes at the Dollar General for a couple bucks. And I'll usually just take these little boxes and some gift paper and just stuff some gift paper in the box. Line that with 10 or so cookies, how many ever you can get in. You can get the bigger boxes or these little small boxes. Boom. And I had to grab a napkin, but that's that. And wrap those babies up. And there you go. I appreciate y'all cooking with me today. I hope you subscribe to the channel, give me a like and a comment so that I can continue to grow. And I hope you make these cookies and enjoy them. And have a lovely day.